Okay.
Can there still be a God?
Okay, can there? What do you think? Now it's time to do some logic.
Sure.
Now we're on your...
I would say, yes, there still can be a God, even if it's eternal.
Okay, how so?
So we believe in something called Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is basically if you draw a circle.
Yep.
So pantheism would be if you draw a circle on top of that circle, right? Would you agree? No. Like you draw a circle and
You trace it.
trace that circle. That would be
Yeah.
pantheism, right?
Okay. In what way? So can you clarify
So
what you mean by that?
there is nothing outside of this.
Yes, that's right.
So now I'm going to do panentheism,
Yes.
which is actually what we believe.
Right?
Which is you draw a circle on the inside of that circle. And it'd probably be like a smaller circle, but yes. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So that's what we believe.
Okay.
But
And what is
some of my-
what's this
my
outer?
Muslim-
What's the outer circle?
Say it again.
What's this outer circle right here?
The outside of our circle,
What's this part?
all of that would be God.
Okay, so this is God. Okay, and what's this?
That would be us, but also God.
Okay, got it? All right, I hear you. Okay,
And
so
then I have a third option,
Yes.
which is what many of my Muslim and Christian friends, and some Jews too, would be there's a circle, which is us,
Yes.
and then another circle, which is God.
yes, okay, right. Now, so that leads me to my question. Now, here we are, back to definitions. Is when we say reality, now notice this, and here's our final, hopefully our final correction to this question, because this question was poorly framed, and now we're getting to it. If you ask the question, is reality eternal? What does that include if there is an eternal God? God. If you ask the question, is the universe eternal? And what you mean by the universe is that which is not God. But panentheism says, why bother making the distinction? What you're really asking is the reality question, in which case, yeah, that's eternal, but not all parts of that reality are eternal. So in total, reality is eternal, but there are parts of it that are not eternal. You are not eternal, right? You were, or at least your current form was not eternal, that type of thing. If you believe in reincarnation, perhaps you're eternal, right? But at the end of the day, now it's important what we mean by universe. Now notice that if what you mean by universe is something like the created order, by using that definition of the created order, you have already required it to be created.
Right.
Okay? So this is a very, very good question. So the question is, let's strike universe and ask the first question, is reality eternal?
I still think you have to differentiate between observed reality and reality. Because there could be an unobserved reality that's just beyond.
Very good.
Smash out the word observed, I think you could leave it in there.
Observed by whom?
Us. Because it's us that's discussing this.
So then that would not include anything that we can't observe.
I'm sorry.
And if what we can't observe would not be included in that.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly.
So I mean, by that definition, it would seem that you can't show that God exists. Right?
But I like this question. I like the fact that you brought that up, because I think this is a good way to go back to your main question, Scott, is there a God? I think this is like a
Well, not my question. These are your
Well,
questions. Yeah.
But
Yes. Well, and look what asking the question that they did requires. By the way, apparently you guys are a unit. We will refer to you as they. Is reality eternal? That's a different question than are we eternal? And by we, I mean you and me. Is the physical universe, chairs and tables, stars, planets, eternal? Do you agree that those are three separate questions? I think you do, right? In this case, let me ask this question. In this us and God circle, is there any part of this in a panentheistic view that you hold that says that chairs and tables are eternal as well? Do you believe chairs and tables are eternal?
Okay. So in panentheism, yes.
Okay, so in what way What does it mean for something to come into or go out of existence?
Good question. So, the way that we're taught is if you were to say, for example, draw a mountain,
Yes,
and then you took a chip off of the mountain,
Yes.
that's what we all are.
yes,
And then, in I don't know, I guess in reality, we all return to that.
okay, so let's say we go to a mountain,
Yeah.
we take a big chip out of the mountain and we carve a little statue of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got this little statue of you, this golem, if you will. It's not made of clay, but it's made of stone. And you, did that statue of you come into existence at any point in time?
Did it come into existence?
Yes.
It appears that it did.
Okay, is there, what?
So,
Yes,
all,
go ahead.
all of this we would say is appearance.
Yes. Now, let's say this sculptor, who we'll call God for lack of a better term at this point, sculptor carves this stone image, and then the sculptor brings that image to life in such a way that it has this image, this statue now has its own identity and its own mind. And the creator of this statue says, I made this statue. And then what does this statue say in return?
What does it say in
Yes,
return?
I made this statue, and the creator asks the statue, who are you? What does the statue say?
I don't know.
What might they say?
Well, I tell you what I would, am I
Yeah.
accountable to you?
Okay.
I mean,
and-
that's what I would say.
But you said this question, am I accountable to you? So now there was originally one I. That was the creator. There was one consciousness, the sculptor. Now there are two consciousnesses. One of them says I. Where did this consciousness exist prior to the creator instantiating that consciousness in the carving that he made? Were there two eyes there? That is to say, prior to the creation of the statue, if God asked himself, who am I? What he's really asking is, what he really ought to say is, who are we? Because there are 8 billion at least of us around, some of us I'm going to stick in the statues. Now, if that's the way if that's the interpretation you have, then that's a difference that to me is different than what is classically called monotheism. If your answer to that is no, there was a time that there was God, and there was one eye, and at some point he made other eyes, so that at some given time in the universe, three parts of the universe, 3 parts of reality would say, I am doing this, I am over here. There are 3 different things that would identify as I, that's different than one thing identifying as I. It means 2 things came into existence that were not in existence before. Do you agree with that, or do you
And we're
disagree?
not what?
And we're not in that kind of existence before. Not in an existence where they were independent eyes, independent consciousnesses.
Yeah, we were not.
Or not, when I say independent, minds that do not self-identify as the other mind.
Yeah, maybe I can.
Okay. In which case, I think we are probably comfortable saying in the us and God stuff, at least the us part, our consciousnesses, are not eternal consciousnesses. They're eternal only insofar as they were in the mind of God as an intent at some point, but they weren't actualized until some point in the future. Okay, very good. See how important definitions are, right? We could go all day long and we agree, but we would be disagreeing forever if we didn't do it that way. Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
To
Well, okay. Apparently Dennis has got a burning question. Al, do you mind deferring to Dennis for a second? Is that okay?
In support of what, is it Escher?
Yeah, Asher.
In support of what Asher said, Michelangelo said he never created anything. He just exposed what was already in the
Okay, and maybe so. Maybe Michelangelo's right. But that's not the same question as that we were asking there.
So from your panentheistic viewpoint, how would you explain the first verse of the Bible that God created? What happened when God created the heavens and the earth?
How would I explain that?
Yeah.
So we actually have passages in the biblical text where it states that while we have that competing passage, we also have other ones where this has always been.
So
I can dig them up for you.
Sorry.
It'll take me a minute, but.
No. Let me. If you guys are able to be here next time, we'll start the class with you bringing up whatever passages you want to answer exactly that question. I didn't realize because I don't have a clock checking me. We're now over time. So Terrific question. Let's answer that question. It's important to answer that question because in figuring out what we're asking about and figuring out our definition over here, if something like definition is one is correct, we need to know it. And this is a very good way of asking that question. So we'll come to some conclusions next time, but if I can sum up and if I can point to what we're doing, don't forget these arguments that we're going to be making they're all in the area of religion. But as Dennis, the avowed atheist in class will point out, they matter because it's either the case that all of us are deluded and we need to stop with the delusion because it's impacting negatively our society and our ability to be happy, or it's the case that there is a God and we need to figure out who it is, so that because if that God is something like this and is in fact good and is in fact a purpose setter, then it's not deductively taken at this point, but it's intuitively plausible, I think, that if he's good and we're kind of his children in some respect, then in the same way that we want our children to be happy, he might want us to be happy. In which case, maybe we ought to listen to what Dad's telling us. That kind of concept, right? So at least we're asking those kinds of questions, and we'll get into answering it in such a way that the rules to which the atheist, the pagan, the monotheist, the deist, everybody has agreed, that we will be able to come to I think, good resolution to that question. Now, what we will, maybe right before you kick off then next time, what we'll start with is when we make an argument, because we haven't answered this question yet, so if you're going to think about something this week, this is what I'd like you to think about, if you have the time, please. When you make an argument, how do you construct it, and how do you know how convincing or true the argument is? So an argument can be everything from all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal, to every time I throw a baseball against the house, it makes a thunk and stops. I've done it 17 times. It's true that the next time I throw it against the house, it's going to go thunk and stop. Right? Those are different kinds of arguments, but you see that they are ones that we are, at least on a day-to-day basis, accept as true. So the question I'm really asking you is this: you already accept arguments in your boxes. Who knows where they are now? But in your boxes of true and false, you've already placed them in there based on arguments that you've made. What is a good argument, and how do you know? And then we'll start with that one, and then we're going to start making arguments.